All right, welcome everyone. This is Loretta Stokes. I am the program chair for Women Get It, and our topic for today is demystifying data science. So what we're seeing now is a bigger trend here in the industry that everybody's collecting all kinds of data. So as we're collecting all this data, what do you do about it? So now that's where data science comes in. And coincidentally, LinkedIn released an article last week, and it says that demand for data scientists is off the charts. And in that report, there's a shortage of over 150,000 people needed with these skills, particularly in New York, San Francisco, Bay Area, and Los Angeles. But interesting, if you go back just to 2015, there was actually a surplus. So it's amazing how fast the industry has changed. So I'd also like to take an opportunity here to also thank our panel. So we have Lindsay Morris here, we've got Shruti Sharma and Jeremy Baker. I'll give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. They're all experts in their field, so thank you so much for coming with us today. So I will say, if you're online, be sure to let us know where you are. Send us any questions, and I know there's a couple of viewing parties out there. So Shruti's company and Lindsay's company, Ingram and Axial Health, I want to say a big shout out. Thank you for tuning in, and get those questions coming. So we'll take those as they come in. So we'll start off here. We'll just kind of go down the panel. If you guys could take a minute to introduce yourselves, let us know a little bit about your role, and then we'll get into some questions.
Yeah, I can get us started. So my name is Lindsay Morris. I'm the Director of Data Science and Analytics at Axial Healthcare. We're a small kind of startup company here in Nashville, Tennessee, around 120, 130 employees. Data science at Axial is a team of 6 data scientists. Also under the umbrella of R&D, we have a statistics and scientific collaboration arm, which also has a data scientist that lives on that team. So yeah, that's what I do at Axial, and I lead that team through various data science projects that are of value to the business within the healthcare industry.
Hi, I am in the business intelligence team at the Ingram Content Group. More recently, I've also gone through the first data science cohort at the Nashville Software School. I've been at Ingram for around 2.5 years. And it's a very good time to be talking about data science in specific, because Ingram is trying to chart its own path into what it would mean for us as an organization. So we have a very mature and robust business intelligence team. It does a lot of descriptive analytics as we know it now, throwing all the buzzwords together, but we're definitely trying to be more data informed as an organization, trying to get into the predictive space and making it work for us. So this is a very important conversation for us to be having at this point.
And I'm Jeremy Walker. I manage data engineers at Eventbrite, the online ticketing platform. And our primary role is to move data from one place to another, building the pipelines, and also provisioning and managing those clusters. And part of that also includes supporting data scientists. And just like Lindsay and Shruti said, it's a really growth opportunity for Eventbrite. It's really, we're trying to put this competitive advantage that we have of over 10 million events a year to use on behalf of the company, on behalf of the organizers themselves, so that we have this great data store. How do we take it and create actionable data out of that so that organizers can use that to create better events, target audiences who have similar interest events they've already created and whatnot. So it's just a really exciting time to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're at Eventbrite together, so that kind of connection worked. So yeah, I kind of cornered him. So one of the things I think is very interesting, if thinking about our audience, there's probably a lot of people out there that are interested in getting into the field of data science, but it's not quite clear what the roles are. So I was kind of wanted to ask the panel if you guys could explain like the roles that are at your company and what kind of opportunities would someone have?
Yeah, I can take that question first. So Axial is, as I mentioned before, a small company. We partner with health insurers to understand their patients in pain and who consume opioids, and offer very specific analytical solutions and outreach solutions to help manage that population and help them get better care. In terms of roles of data science, my experience thus far, at least within the Nashville area, is that specific data science roles might be dependent on the size of your company. So at Axial, we really only have one data science role, and there certainly is a career track along with that to progress from research data scientist to senior data scientist. However, and I guess you guys can speak to this, at other companies there might be various roles in data science, in particular perhaps an innovation, a machine learning data science role, also potentially a deployment engineer within a data science team. So certainly different types of roles and expertise can exist and live within a single data science team. However, at Axial, we are very much focused on data science and gathering insights from the data. And to Shruti's point, that can include descriptive statistics and very much work that perhaps fits under the umbrella of traditional healthcare analytics, because I think sometimes the difference in data science and that can be somewhat ambiguous. But yeah, that's what we have at Axial.
I mean, data science, before I jump into like different kinds of roles, I know data science, machine learning, AI is somehow sometimes used interchangeably. And
Yes.
before I get into like talking about different roles, I just want to put forth my kind of rough understanding of the premise on which I'm going to be expanding on. Is data science is a more overarching umbrella. You're getting insights from data. It could be descriptive, it could be something that deals with predictive analytics. It could be more even prescriptive analytics if you have those processes well thought out. But essentially, data science is getting insights, right? So different kinds of roles, definitely. You have analysts, and that could be, depending on your organization, could be more descriptive analytics. You're making visualizations that make consuming data that much more efficient. For the end user, you definitely need data engineers that are going to get the data with the right kind of governance, with the right kind of structure and architecture, so that downstream processes can use it, centralize it. You definitely have data scientists, and this is more of an amorphous description. Different organizations are going to call different people data scientists or even different things. So you have statistical programmers that are also considered data scientists. You have analysts who can be considered data scientists. Then you also have like machine learning experts and people who are in the predictive space that more people think of as data scientists. So you definitely have a lot going on in this space. And then Lindsay briefly touched upon DevOps, because your data scientists can figure out this whole algorithm, it all works, everything is dandy, but you need to be able to deploy it and make it more production ready. So that's more like DevOps aspect of it. And all of this kind of inhabits this ecosystem.
Yeah, and at Eventbrite, we have a pretty strict boundary at this point between data engineering and data science. Data science traditionally at Eventbrite has been in service of the business, so predictive analytics in terms of where the company is going, reflecting where the company has been. We're getting into the space now where we're trying to learn how to feed those insights back into the product. So whether it's descriptive sorts of insights into ways we should categorize events, but again, right now that's being used primarily for business insights, or user location. So one of the significant difficulties that we have at Eventbrite is that we don't force users to log on until they check out. So a lot of the tracking of user behavior is different, or is difficult, because we don't know who the user is right at the very beginning. And we're also getting into the space where we're trying to also use it to create new business ideas. So we have an incubation unit at Eventbrite, and we're trying to use data science there to predict the efficiency, again, of the product and what they're trying to create. But I think in terms of data science and the breadth of work that there is to do, it's only limited by the domains that are available within engineering, and the paths to go are manifold.
Okay, good. That's all good insight. So thinking about other people that may be thinking about getting into data science, so what skills can translate if you want to go into this field? So And maybe even talking a little bit about individually how, probably when each one of you had started your career, there wasn't necessarily a track that you could go into in college. So there's a lot of software engineers or maybe somebody even from another industry that's interested in getting into this field. How would you go about that?
I mean, I can take that. My education or whatever I went to college for is biochemistry. I have a PhD in biochemistry. And at that point, I mean, I decided to jump ship from academia. I did a boot camp for web development at National Software School. This is back in 2015. And when I was doing that, one of the things that was very specifically certain in my mind was I've been generating data. I've been understanding the data that I generate and put it in context. And in order to crunch through data which is outside available, I need to be able to do it programmatically. So one of the things that I was looking at to do, even in web development, is to get exposure to programming, which is what I did. It was very fortunate that I got into the BI space at Ingram because, and I was hired as more like a web development engineer, but slowly and surely I've made my way more towards the back end of it. So setting up the data for an application to use, doing modeling in the database, more architecture, decisions of that nature, and that's where I've found my interest, and I mean somehow Ingram's put its money on me, literally and figuratively, to see how we can explore the more of this data science space. So now I've definitely gone ahead, gotten more training, specifically, let's say in Python and R, more data intensive. Most shops, if they are serious about data science, they use one of these two languages. Most enterprise level data still resides in like relational databases, so you definitely need some exposure to SQL. You need to be able to query whatever database that your organization is using. I mean, in terms of hard skills, that's kind of the space most people are trying to see if you have any exposure to. And of course, it's going to depend on the kind of data that you use. If you're going to be using streaming data, or if you have distributed file systems, and if it's too large, you're dealing with data lakes, you're probably looking at Spark or something that's Hadoop, that's more intensive in terms of volume that it can deal with. But all that aside, essentially what any organization or our team would essentially look for individuals that can connect the dots. At the end of it, that's what this is about. You can have all the data staring at you in the face, but you need to be able to connect the dots, you need to be curious, and you need to make something. You want to be part of something that has some actionable insight. It doesn't have to be this great academic experiment that never translates into a product or something actionable for an organization.
So I think we may have a follow-up question from online. So
yeah, so Amanda and Beth are running the Facebook Live and Instagram Live, so be sure to ask your questions away to the panelists. We love to see how many people are joining in, and I just want to give a couple of shout outs first. So Andrea and Bobby and Susan and Rebecca logging in on Facebook. Hey guys, good to see you joining in. And then we also have a question from Couch Olivia on Instagram, and she's asking, can you recommend any good Tableau tutorials for a beginner? The ones that personally helped you a lot in getting a good start. So maybe not specifically Tableau, because that's one specific tool, but is there any tutorial you recommend? Maybe like Udemy, or I don't know what you guys would recommend to people.
I
just
can
to
make
kind of
some
get started.
recommendations. Yeah. So in terms of Tableau, our data science team at Axial doesn't really use Tableau. Our analytics arm of the business uses it pretty heavily. That's not to say it isn't a great tool. It's just not something that we have within our technology stack right now. In terms of training, Axial has a subscription to DataCamp, and that's been very successful for us. It's very intuitive. It's very cost effective. And really the way that they teach the different tutorials really resonates with a lot of the members of the team. Data Camp also focuses primarily, if not exclusively, on R and Python, which I believe most will find are the computer languages that are most common within the data science community. So yeah, Data Camp is something that we pretty much use exclusively, but there's tons of others out there. Do you guys use something different?
I mean, I've used DataCamp extensively during school and a little bit before that as well, but I think what you're trying to get at is Tableau, or Ingram uses ClickSense. That's like the sister or competitor version of Tableau. And that's mostly about, or the way mostly it's used is making dashboards. So that's more in the descriptive analytics space of it, and I unfortunately can't specifically talk about Tableau. But
Yeah, at Eventbrite we have a Udemy corporate subscription, and those courses have been very helpful, at least in terms of an introduction.
yeah,
But for me, in my own development, what is always the most helpful is choosing a project and then diving in that project and just playing with the system, playing with the language, playing with something like Tableau to learn, because it gives me a direction to go to, and then just finding ways to use Google, right? The answer is out there somewhere, and if I can direct myself towards a project, the motivation is there, the end goal is there, and that's the easiest way for me to go, as long as I have something like Udemy or a YouTube tutorial on the basic introduction of what the tool does, how you access the different features. And then once you begin to implement those features, I think, at least in terms of my own learning or even pedagogy, if you can put that into good use, you'll get the biggest payoff.
I'm glad you mentioned YouTube. You can't discount the tutorials that are available for free on YouTube. Some of them are very good.
Yeah.
One of the earlier questions I want to come back to is, we got Trudy, kind of her journey into this field. So I'd like to hear from Lindsay and Jeremy kind of what your transition was, because I expect it to probably be a little bit different.
Actually, it's parallel but different. So I actually began my career as a musician, and then I transitioned into academia, actually in religious studies. So I have a PhD in religious studies. And for me, it's similar to what Trudy said, it's telling a story, right? It's being able to take these disparate data points, putting it together into a cohesive story, and being able to communicate that out to an external audience. So, a lot of the things that I look for in data scientists or data engineers is a love for the data and the ability to tell a story with that data. We can train people to use tools. We can train people to use languages. We can't train people to have the passion and the motivation and really the ability to deal with difficult problems with undefined timelines, with undefined endpoints, but with needing to find an exit ramp at some point because you need to define product at some point. You can't just be this constant exploration. So do you have a nose for the data? And I always have. Do you have the ability to tell a story, a concrete story from either disparate data points or an abstract story from very concrete data points? And what is your motivation behind that? Again, it's that motivation that's key that's going to get you, do I need to learn Spark today? Do I need to learn Python today? Do I need to learn R? Do I need to go to Tableau? But those hard skills for me are always secondary for the nose for the data, except for my understanding of where data science should be in terms of statistics. I don't have a background in statistics, so I haven't turned toward data science. And I see that as a key skill that one might need to learn, though I don't have the domain knowledge that either Shruti or
I mean, it's statistics, yes. Programming, yes. But as Jeremy points out, these are things you can pick up. It's not so esoteric that you can't get at it. But you need to have a level of comfort with the unknown, because you're always fishing, if that's a word. You're trying, and you don't always have, it's great if you do, but you don't always have a fixed deliverable that you can walk away from. If a data science project goes right, if you have a model that's deployed, it's still alive. You're still feeding it what you're getting it. So you never are done. And you have to have a level of comfort with that process.
and a comfort to listen to the data.
Right.
I mean, that sounds very strange, almost, there's data whisperer, but it really is. Can you listen to the data and what the data is telling you? Do you have the patience to sit with this abstract idea with no defined endpoint and hear what the data is telling you? Sometimes it's telling you to stop. and to be okay with that.
I think I hear a
Yeah.
new job description, a data whisperer. Data whisperer.
Data whisperer.
Okay, go ahead, Lindsay.
Yeah, I could not agree with these concepts more. Certainly a love of the data and understanding of how to really ask the most appropriate questions. I think that's a really key skill for a data scientist. I think the original question was, how did you get into data science? At Axial, and myself included, we pretty much exclusively hire people with PhDs in science. That is a way that you can get into data science, even if you're not sort of specifically trained in that discipline. And I believe that advanced training in those areas really gives you some of that skill set to be able to really, yes, work in ambiguity, be comfortable with the unknown, ask specific questions. I think we spend certainly most of our time really just understanding and defining very specifically what the business question is that we're trying to answer. Otherwise, we are just on fishing expeditions a lot of times, and you kind of just keep going. So I think another key point I'd like to mention is, yes, data science projects can go on for a long time, but I think it's really key to define all of the valuable things that you can deliver to the business in the process of working through sort of a long model or a long project. So something I wanted to add to that.
And I also don't want to discount the power of communication skills, especially in an environment like
Yes.
Eventbrite where we have to hand off between the data scientist and the data engineer. So the ability to communicate where you're going and to interpret what you're trying to do to a data engineer who's trying to implement this very complicated statistical model that you put together is highly valuable.
And it's not just an engineering team, it's account management, it's your cloud team.
Right.
It's not
it's everyone.
just a technical teams either. Like you've done something, you've made something amazing, but you have to be able to communicate it to your end user. How they can use it, what's the benefit, how are you adding value? It's not always given, it's not always intuitive. I think data science is often talked about like you need programming, you need statistics, you need computing. I think it's missing a very important fourth element, that's communication.
Absolutely.
You really
That's
need
true
to be
for
able
anything.
to communicate what you've made and how awesome it is. Like the onus is on you at that point.
I think you mentioned earlier about actionable insights. That's something that's really key for us as a team as well. You could build the greatest predictive model that's so accurate and you love it. But if there was nothing actionable about it, then it doesn't really have any value to advance your company's mission and be valuable to your internal and external customers.
So I think at that point, it's just interesting data.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, it's great. It works. Now what?
Nice chart.
Right. So what?
Right.
The why is
Yeah.
Yeah, very important.
That's interesting. So we do have a question from either Facebook or Instagram. If you go ahead, Beth.
Yep, so our Facebook question is from Susan Breedlove. So when you hear someone say, in quotes, just bring in all the data, but they have no idea how to use the data, any tips on helping them find a target?
I think it goes back,
Communication.
yeah. It goes back to why. Why do you need that data? Why do you need all the data? What are you trying to do? And so it's these, again, these.
I would put what before why. What do you need? What if you had today would help you do your job better? So that pushes it back to the business a little bit. But where is the gap that they identify? What it might end up being may not be where you start from, but it's a good starting point to figure out.
I always ask, how do you define success? You're trying to do something. What is that something, and how do you know if it worked in the end?
Right.
And that really gets people thinking about exactly what they're trying to do, and really gets us all focused on the right work and the most valuable work, as opposed to living in ambiguity forever.
Right.
So yeah, it definitely goes back to communication and asking and talking and building trustful relationships as well with your internal customers.
Yep.
So one other question that I have is, so suppose you're an engineer and you're maybe thinking about transitioning. So an important part of this is probably that conversation with your manager.
Mhm.
So how do you start that conversation to say that I'm interested, or how do you plant those seeds such that, maybe everyone's taking your advice, learning the tools, maybe learning some things, but to really make that first step at your company?
I was always very upfront about it. This is what I really want to do. This is what I'm interested in. And I am fortunate enough to work with people who encouraged me. And they gave me very specific, actionable steps. If this is what you want to do, this is how I would go about it. They really sat down with me. It's like, these are the people I will talk to. These are the questions I will begin asking. So I've been fortunate enough to work with people who helped me along in this whole process. Because when I started asking questions, I didn't know. I probably still don't know.
So did you, at the end of the day, come up with a plan, or how you did?
So I remember the first conversation I had about wanting to do this was 2016. And at that point, one of the VPs, he encouraged me, I'm not sure if Interim is the place, but I'd be happy for you to get whatever training you need, and I'd be happy to help you be wherever you need to be. But cut to 2017, the whole ecosystem changed. Interim was full on invested in trying to commit to this path. So being at it, having those conversations, picking up those skills on the side, and being extremely upfront about it. And it's to an organization's benefit too. I mean, if there's an individual who is, growth mindset, contributing to it, it works out when the interests are aligned. But be more upfront.
I would think in absence of that, I'll provide the same career advice that I provide for anything, and that's get involved, start networking, and that doesn't necessarily and doesn't often mean having a drink at a cocktail hour and giving out your business card. It means developing relationships. A few ways you can get involved are start attending your local data science meetups, get to know those people, potentially work on projects with them. I know there's also nonprofits out there who potentially need help from data scientists. Get involved with them, even though you might not be skilled in the area. They could certainly use your expertise and your time. So start working on projects with them. And yes, I think these days there are more formalized programs such as National Software Schools Boot Camp. There's also starting to be more and more college-specific degree programs for data science, which did not exist when I was in school. So that certainly is something that someone like a software developer or engineer could consider in order to break into the field.
You can definitely pick up skills, and I cannot reiterate more about networking. It's not only about going for drinks. Try to be more one-on-one. Reach out to those specific individuals whose jobs you might want to find out more about. Reach out for coffee or a telephone call or email. You would be surprised how incredibly open some of these communities are. People are ready to share their stories. People are ready to share the path they took to get where they got and how they did it. So these are all invaluable insights you're getting from someone who's already been down that road, and it can be incredibly helpful.
Yeah, and I think at a company like Eventbrite, it's internal networking too. So who within your company is doing what you want to do? And is there a way, for a team like I'm on, for your team to partner with our team, and you to start taking over more and more of what we do in your work? So don't discount going to your colleague across the hall, or in the same room and say, hey, this is what I'd like to do. Can I partner with you in some way? And I think, just be explicit with your manager. This is my career goal, and hopefully your manager would be open with that and want to help you get to where you want to go.
And if it doesn't work out, you have your external network. Reach out. Don't be. Make it easier for people to help you. At least let them know what is it that you want. You will start with that.
So our time has gone by very quickly. I want to first say thank you, Jeremy, Trudy, and Lindsay, so much for providing your valuable insights. That's what you provide is what makes our panel successful. And as we're kind of coming to a close, I'd like to make some remarks about our next event. So our next event will be September 20th at Ramsey Solutions. That's our mentoring session. So in person, be sure to be there. We have BOGO tickets on sale right now. Buy one, get one, bring a friend. It's great to bring a friend with you and network together. Our next Facebook and Instagram live event will be September 11th. If you have any topics, we come up with some good timely ideas, but sometimes there's something out there that we haven't covered yet. If you're interested in something else, send us a question or send us a note and we'll put that on our list. Another reminder, the Analytics Summit is next week.
Yes.
Trudy, you're
Yes.
speaking, right?
Yes.
What's your topic?
Well, most of it is, it deals with career transitions, and it also talks about, it's a bunch of us, 6 of us from cohort 1. We'll be talking about our projects. So come see us. It's Monday, 20th August, 3 o'clock, Music Row 5.
Wow. All right, be there. Be there.
there.
But it's a great conference. If you're interested, it's a great way to learn. If you love my shirt, which everybody does whenever I wear this one, this is one of our Women Get It t-shirts. You can use the promo code LIVE for 10% off. Go to our website, womengetit.org, to check out. .net, sorry, we changed our womengetit.net. It's a hard one to make that transition. So if you're interested in our merchandise, if you want to look at our next events, go check out our website. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Be ready for next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.